this afternoon's presentation. Thank you, Bruce. Magnified here. I'm of an age now that I need readers, and I'm in denial. On behalf of King County Executive Down Constantine and our entire team at King County, we are pleased to sponsor the Economic Development Awards ceremony this afternoon. And most importantly, we're proud to support and partner with WEDA on the critical work of growing jobs and increasing economic vitality across our great state. As most, if not all of you know, King County is the largest county in Washington and one of the strongest, most diverse regional economies in the U.S. We as King County government and me as a representative for a newly established Office of Economic Opportunity with limited staff and resources, I should say, in parentheses, are nothing without our partners because we have limited staff and resources. Many of you in this room are valued partners in doing critical, important work in economic development. For that, I want to thank you again on behalf of King County and the executive. We at King County are one of the newer sponsors in the WEDA family. I started my career as part of a regional coalition that was 66 counties strong, and I saw firsthand as a just young economic developer the benefits, saw firsthand the benefits of being part of such a coalition. Thus began my journey as being a strong proponent of regionalism. I know it's cliche, but I say it often. Economic development is truly a team sport, and what's good for the part is good for the whole. Thus, being a strong supporter of and ambassador for WEDA is a no-brainer for me. Speaking of strong supporters, one reason I love working for Executive Constantine is that he has been a strong supporter of economic workforce development for a long time and was a champion of equitable economic development long before it was the best practice that it is today. The executive's true north is that King County be a welcoming community where every person can thrive, which embodies that principle. So it goes without saying that King County is forward to continue our partnership with WEDA and the economic development players in this room and across the state to help our state continue to grow jobs and foster more equitable economic development. With that, I'd like to now introduce Mr. Michael Cade, Executive Director of the Thurston Economic Development Council, and also the WEDA Board Chair.
Thank you very much, Ashton. It's really an honor to be here today with you all. It's a doubly honor for me to be able to provide this award to emerging professional. Actually, yesterday, by context, the ADOs met, the Associate Development Organization met, and I think there was walked in right at the conversation was kind of who has been there as doing economic development for the longest, 5, 10, 20 years. I was kind of standing around for 32. So I realized I'm not candidate for professional work. But it has been actually a fantastic run for me. This is an endeavor that I would give twice. And absolutely give twice. This is a fantastic profession to be in. And it's when we start reading about the emerging professionals, we realize that there is so many different ways to do economic development and so much passion people bring to the table. And I'm just honored to be allowed to sit at the table until I get to my 33rd year, actually. So with that, I want to talk about the emerging professional. So we're recognized as an individual who's new to the economic development profession, or someone who's made a significant change in his or her role. An individual exhibits the qualities that best exemplify the professional who's needed to be successful in the field of economic development. So award is given to a person who's made a significant contribution to his or her community, is a promising future leader in the industry, must become an integral member of his or her community, bring significant support for economic development. And normally we can read through the nomination and then we announce the award winner, but I'm going to go ahead and just say Amanda Walmer, congratulations and welcome to the in the nomination that she exemplifies the core values of the economic development professional in the community. They shared their tireless work in good economic growth prosperity for the city of Richland and Tri-City region as a whole. We heard that regional concept in the introduction today. She exemplifies partnership. She continuously offers expertise and skills to further the success of all. As the city of Richland's economic manager, she wears many hats and still finds time in her busy days to teach and recognize others. And these colleagues said we can confirm that the top three qualities that best exemplify her professional contributions are creativity, dedication, and enthusiasm. She continuously leverages her creativity to find new solutions that increase economic diversity. Her dedication to the profession is evident. Her dedication to service advice to the board, as well as her board service and several other professional associations and personal groups. Without her level of dedication, enthusiasm, and skill, she would not have excelled in such a short time in poise for her CED certification. Quite frankly, this is an honor for me to be able to congratulate you and all the WEDA board members, and thank you for your contributions, and look forward to your contributions in the future. There you go.
This is a lot different when Suzanne doesn't write my talking points, so please forgive me. But thank you, Michael, and the board and the committee for this recognition, and again, for the day. I'm Mandy Wallner, Economic Development Manager for the City of Richland. And I have had the pleasure of serving as the Vice Chair and Conference Committee Chair this year for the WEDA Board of Directors, in addition to on the Marketing and Nominations Committee. And this is my shameless plug for those who love to volunteer as I do, to please join the WEDA teams and committees so that we can have some help on them. But I would also like to thank my team at the city who nominated me for this award, and the nominating committee for supporting that nomination. It's an honor to be recognized by my peers, and I'm humbled by the recognition and what the award represents. I also wanted to give a special thank you to our city manager who made the trip today to support me in my career. Like many of you in the room, I came to this as a third or fourth career, coming to the profession with a background in sales, fundraising, and marketing. Back when I was in college, the dates are not important. Nor did I know that it's where I would end up. But my path was through business degrees and various specialties, and economic development found me because I've always had an interest in development. A lot. Also learned regulation maybe isn't my forte, but my path was true, and I really learned a lot. Eventually coming to work in the city in a marketing role. While economic development for many of us is focused on making deals, getting deals done, permitting, processing, and so much more, especially in city government. At the end of the day, it's about people, collaboration, which is what this room is about, as well as the conference. In preparing my remarks today, which is a lot harder than I thought it would be, so please no judgment. I did a lot of self-reflection, both on my journey, what led me here, but also what I've accomplished. And I'll spare you a lot of what I came up with. But some of the key things relative to the award that I would like to make sure I share towards my successes. And those are things such as working hard to evolve our division into a small business resource in our community, offering facade programs, training opportunities, community resources, newsletters, and tips on how to work through city processes. Working to shift our culture of recruitment from a no to a yes if when we respond to those RFIs, and working with other city departments to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward when we're working with new development interests. And that's led to some successes in our area, which we're excited to talk about today. Having the opportunity to lead a group who created the city's culture statement, I'm pleased to say that we came up with a statement that everybody at the city can identify with. Utilizing new legislation to create a tax exemption program for large manufacturers looking to expand and move to Richland has been a game changer in our market, and we're fortunate to have such a supportive and aggressive progressive council. Purchasing an old hotel that prevented blight in the gateway to our community, and so many more projects that are in the works and yet to come. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely love what I do and where it works. Sometimes the best part is finding that creative space to dream and come up with sometimes what people think are crazy ideas. Sometimes those crazy ideas are eventually what shape our communities. So find the room to dream is the biggest recommendation. Lastly, I want to say that my success has been due, at least in part, to working for Richland and their support for building leaders from within. I recently participated in the inaugural class of a new leadership program the city's offering, and it fueled my fire and interest for leadership development, a passion that I've had for a long time, but always takes a backseat. That program, coupled with this award, have brought my focus back to the importance of learning and growing as a leader, and I plan to continue to do great things both for our city and our state. Thank you. So once again, I'm Andy Muller with the Economic Development Manager. And I have the pleasure of sitting on the nominations committee this year, which I introduced myself in the past vote, just for the record. And our second award is for the Economic Development Advocate of the Year. This award recognizes a person who made a significant and/or innovative contribution to economic development project or program during the past year. The award can be given to one or more extraordinary efforts for a sustained effort on the state's business community. This award recognizes that economic development professionals must rely on a whole host of others in order to be successful. There are sometimes the silent heroes of our economic development teams who have contributed significantly to advancement of the economic development profession, who are involved in a significant project in a creative way. WEDA wants to recognize and encourage these partnerships. This year, the WEDA Awards Committee selected Jennifer Frank and the Black-owned Business Excellence as the Economic Development Advocate of the Year for their work to create equitable ecosystems and propel the success of Black and other underserved populations in our state. During the pandemic, Jennifer recognized that a lot of BIPOC business owners were being left out and behind in entrepreneurial ecosystems. Her curiosity led her down a path to help create more equitable entrepreneurial ecosystems in Washington state. She and a few allies formed a collaborative, Black-owned Business Excellence, otherwise known as WEDA, to educate, celebrate, and normalize excellence in minority-owned businesses. WEDA is a for and by organization that collaborates with local minority-owned businesses, organizations, and individuals who come together to support, educate, inspire, and elevate businesses that are owned by historically underserved business owners in Washington state. WEDA's mission is to drive positive change by actively contributing to the creation of more equitable entrepreneurial system in Washington state. They are dedicated to championing Black-owned businesses, entrepreneurs, and innovators, working collaboratively with diverse stakeholders to level the playing field and secure equal access to resources, opportunities, and support. Jenna Finesse became affectionately known as Fiscal Finesse with the same name. She runs a premier boutique, Black woman-owned, full-service commercial financing planning firm that primarily focuses on the financial well-being of small businesses. Jenna Finesse provides business resilience training to organizations such as Minority Business Development Agenda, and has spoken to programs including the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance, among many others. And she's a regular speaker and participant on Technical Assistance Tuesdays, TA Tuesdays, for those that have a calendar related to WEDA. And WEDA hosts over 1,000 businesses that have benefited from her expertise and inspiration. WEDA is honored to present the 2024 Economic Development Advocate of the Year Award to Jenna Finesse and the collaborators. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, can we get Giselle in here? Hey, hold on.
All right.
Yes. Thank you.
do that? Can I get the clicker? Oh, okay. Well, anyways, good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to stand before you today as the recipient of the Economic Development Advocate of the Year Award. They said something about silent heroes, and none about me silent. They said something about silent heroes, but I will say that Bowie is a collaborative effort. We started. This clicker. Oh, boom. That's beautiful. So we started, just like she said, we started because of what was going on in the pandemic. And I say that thoroughly, because when George Floyd was murdered, it broke me. And I sat down with a few folks and said, listen, we got to do something for Black-owned businesses, because we were not getting idle, we were not getting PPP, we didn't have the relationships or the infrastructure to take advantage of any of those things. And so since then, we've been coming together and we've been coming strong. So we are humble and grateful for the Washington Economic Development Association. I want to say agency, but it's association. So we're definitely grateful for you all giving us this award. But it's been a journey. And in this journey, come on, y'all. Okay. In this journey, oh my goodness. Okay, we have gotten to a place of celebration of Black-owned businesses. And if y'all notice, that a lot of folks said they weren't here before, right? Or weren't in this room. But one of the things that we were able to do with the Department of Commerce, Department of Enterprise Services, who is one of our strategic partners, who has been supporting us from the very beginning until today, is we said, listen, we want to make this conference more Black. So if you look around, we have more Black folks here because we want to be at the table. We want to be at the table we're going to be a part of the conversation. And so sometimes when these panelists don't look like us, we don't feel like we should come, right? But we made sure that we were here. We're very hopeful that in the future, these events will look more and more like us, right? So we're excited about that. We're excited about the journey that we've gone through. We're excited about but our mission is to create a more equitable entrepreneurial ecosystem in Washington State. And we only do that by our partners. We have an executive board. Our executive board is myself, is Tiara Bonds with Take Charge Credit Consulting. We have Taj Bimber, who's with Bimber Business Solutions. Yeah, let's put it up. We have Lisa Lawson with the Professional Women of Color Network. And without these folks and without all the other collaborators, you see Giselle is here. She's been there from the beginning, behind the scenes. She's just like one of those quiet people that just do so much amazing things. We also have Jay Lyman at the Seattle Public Library. He couldn't be here today. But there are so many collaborators that are responsible for the work that Bowie does. And I don't want to take more than 4 minutes because they already work. You give a person like me a mic, I'm like, shoot. So really, these are strategic partners. And you all in this room, you have the opportunity to also be a strategic partner. So before I close and let go, I do want to put one thing up on the board, and I'll leave with this. If you want to partner with Bowie, Bowie is doing some amazing things. And the reason why is because of all of the collaborators in the room. So if you want to be one of those collaborators, you can definitely take advantage of that QR code. So I'm gonna leave that up there before they kick me off. And then we'll take a picture. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much. That was exciting. Association. Also served on the awards committee, and super excited to see all of the nominations. And if you're wondering, like, well, how come something from my community get nominated? We do a big call for projects. We get a few in, but I'd like to get more. So we're working on trying to find better channels to get the word out so we can get more applications in and things, but just keep that in mind in the future. So this happens every year. My award recognizing
today is the Economic Development Project of the Year in Recruitment. And this award celebrates the successful creation or completion of a creative, economically significant and/or model project in a community or region. And the project that we're recognizing today is the business recruitment to the Voltage Park, represented by Lisa Goodman, who's on the executive team with the Benaroya Company, as well as Betty Capistani and Michael Transu. And this project dates way back to the 1990s when the Tushak Semiconductor built a facility in the late 90s in Puyallup. After the dot-com bust, that building sat vacant for a while, but the partners in the community, including the Benaroya Company, got together and were able to find another use for that facility and recruit some. I'm not going to steal a whole lot of their thunder on the speaking, but it's really exciting. And so with that, I would like to welcome Betty, Lisa, and Michael to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisa Goodman with the Benaroya Company, and proud to be past board chair of the Pierce County Economic Development Board. The Benaroya Company is deeply honored to accept this award and welcome Voltage Park to our Centerra South Hill Data Center in Puyallup, as well as Washington State. We share this award and owe tremendous thanks to the huge number of partners, as you can see some of them on that slide, and the years it took to create this overnight success. The passing of the statewide data center tax incentive spurred immediate interest from leading global corporations such as Tesla, who in the past, although they preferred our world-class facility and Pierce County, chose to locate in Oregon, Arizona, and more competitive states. Voltage Park is a next generation cloud provider for AI, so very relevant to today's conversation. They chose Centerra's for one of their primary facilities as it launches globally, Voltage Park's Mega Cloud, and which is one of the most powerful collections of cutting edge machine learning compute in the world. They're calling these clouds as supercomputers, that now you can do everything through the cloud. In fact, Microsoft's Azure, they're kind of configuring their naming around supercompute versus calling data centers and digital technology. Voltage Park's mission is to make machine learning infrastructure and high performance compute accessible to all, from large organizations and research universities to seed stage startups and nonprofits. So the conversation about equity, Voltage Park, it will be affordable for small enterprises that would be shut out of having any ability to use high performance and machine learning. Headquartered in Silicon Valley, Voltage Park turned to Centerra's because of its available capacity for a 10 megawatt deployment, clean hydroelectric power, and highly efficient lead-full facility to build out responsibly, low operating costs, a skilled talent pool, and the sales and use tax exemption. Voltage Park also cited the outstanding community support and business-friendly environment that we enjoy in Pierce County and the state of Washington. This project has brought hundreds of millions of dollars of private investment and currently over 200 well-paying construction jobs over 8 months that are keeping the campus very busy with Uber Eats and all the local restaurants. And some of those we're moving into 2 shifts coming up very soon. Voltage Park also plans to hire highly skilled engineering and other IT professionals at their opening. So we'll be working closely with UWT, Pierce College, Clover Park in terms of fulfilling the jobs that will be needed to run the facility. The ongoing operations will place Pierce County squarely on the map for advanced AI and machine learning. I'm now going to turn over the amazing Michael Transu to share more. Thank you so much again.
Well, I don't know about amazing, just hardworking. I'm just going to talk just for a second about, sometimes Lisa said overnight success. It was 3 years working in the legislature. And for those of you who have lobbyists and advocates working for you, sometimes things just take a little bit of time. Started in 2019. In the fall, we started talking about this. And for those of you who don't know, there's always existed a rural data center tax preference, but it was limited to rural communities. And pushing something over the edge to get fiscal impact to the right spot and to get it so that urban communities like Pierce, King's, and Holmes counties could take advantage of that. For me, it's all about help. So it was a really super team effort. Business, labor, community, colleges, and finally, we get to a place where the bill is in the right spot, it applies to the right counties, it has the right number of certificates in it, it's got the right fiscal impact, so that budget writers can take a hold of it. I've never been involved in something with such a really strong economic development impact, and it's, in my world, sometimes you don't see those, those successes come. You work for a lot, you work, you talk to legislators, you advocate, then it never comes to fruition. But this one was one that came to fruition. I'm very proud to have worked with all those folks. And $500 million investment in the local community is something to be proud of. So, thank you.
I'm really glad you came up here. The thing about economic development is putting the people together, and really a shout out, like we said, to everybody up on the screen, and there's many more. But sometimes, in economic development, it's like the connection point. And Lisa and I go way, way, way back, and she keeps chirping at me. And finally I said, you need a different lobbyist. You need Michael Transu. And I guess the rest is history, but really thanks to the chamber, because it went through 2 different chamber execs. It's been through 2 different county execs. It's been through all new county council people. It's been through new people in the city of Puyallup, and it's pretty incredible, amazing. But the other thing is, all this new technology needs different rules and regulations. So as we're looking at, we talked about AI and how that works. Even in the things they're doing, they're having to help us be able to make them successful. So we're excited about this, and it's, say it's not the overnight success, but I was very fortunate because Rob Allen on our team is like ChatGPT, because he whipped out the application in nanoseconds because he's been involved in all the reiterations of this facility over the years. But we look forward to seeing the grand opening, and thank you to an incredible team, and thank you to Ben Arroyo for your huge capital investment in this project. We appreciate it.
Congrats again, Lisa, Michael, and Betty, and I'm now going to retract statements I made earlier about my board of directors not starting meetings on time. Lisa is the immediate past chair of my board of directors. It did not happen under her tenure. I want you all to know she always started the meetings on time. Just sort of written there. No, Lisa was fantastic.
From LA and the go back to LA.
That's right. She lives here. Was down in LA on business, and you gotta love the private sector who flew up here for this meeting to accept this award. We really appreciate that. I'm going to move us to the 4th award this afternoon, and this is for the Economic Development Project of the Year for Business Retention and Expansion. This award celebrates the successful creation, completion of creative, economically significant, and/or model project in a community or region. The project could be one that has created or retained jobs, was particularly difficult to achieved had multiple partners and probably all of those contributed to community well-being. This year's winner is a project that tackled a vexing problem. 500,000 car tires sit at the bottom of Puget Sound. I didn't know that until we got this award application. We all know Puget Sound is challenged, as are many of our waterways, past practices. And this is one that was brought to our attention by this project. So 500,000 car tires in Puget Sound. They leach chemicals. They cause other problems for aquatic life while they're there. This is a huge environmental and business challenge. It's a government challenge as well. Our winner stepped in and tackled that challenge. The winner is the Washington Autonomous Vehicle Cluster, called WAVE-C, and their Illahee Waterway Tire Cleanup Project. Hope you wrote that down. I know that you might not. The director of WAVE-C, Seth Abelson. Seth, come on.
My name is Seth Abelson. I'm joined here by my colleague Michelle May. We are the WEDA team, so to speak. Thank you for this award. It came rather unexpectedly because we've been busy trying to deal with this little tiny mentioning 500,000 tires. That sounds like wow, oh, wow. But we got into this because we were curious. We've been reading reports about the prevalence of tires in the Puget Sound. We didn't have a measure really what that meant. There are reports from ecology, Department of Natural Resources. Tires have been in the water since the 1970s. That's how long we've been dumping tires in the water. So what we know is they've been leaching chemicals, killing fish, disrupting life, so to speak, tourism, the quality of life. Right? So we decided to look into that by using technology that we know in the water vehicles to locate these tires, to know where they could be found. We couldn't have really a specific location. So the city or town of Illahee was generous enough to make this a possibility for us to deploy our vehicles and tools to go look there. So there's three phases. Phase one, which is basically locating the tires. Using this correctly. Okay.
Here we go.
So our project has three phases: locating tires, finding the qualities. Phase two, which is basically remove and in basically in section. And phase three, which is complete cleanup. Right. So the city of Illahee, or town of Illahee, was generous enough to make that happen. We had the second partner, which is a company called Circle, which brought the tools, and together we were able to be joined by also the Squamish tribe as another partner to basically go and attack this problem. So as it stands, we've been able to locate the tires. We know where they are. We know that between the Port of Illahee and the city of Bainbridge Island, there are several tons of tires that meet the profile of what we know to be polluting agents. So with them, we are preparing now to go into phase two, which will be to do a sampling removal of one or two of those clumps, and then go through the process of disposal and the environmental study to find out what, or whatever leaves with these tires, identifying the pollutants, etc. And once we do that, we'll go to phase three, which is complete cleanup. So those are the steps we're following. So we're going to be looking for you to join us in phase two, some as sponsors, some as partners. There's a campaign coming, so stay tuned for that. But for this particular phase, we are very grateful for having received this award for phase one of our study, and we are very humble about that. And just in case you're wondering, we are WEDA. We are a 74-member organization. We were born out of the ICAP program. I don't know if there is another member of ICAP here. We are one of 9 clusters that were created with ICAP.
We are in Kids Up. We are a program of KEDA. KEDA is the development agency for Kids Up. And we sit literally at the gravitational center of all marine autonomy in Kids Up, with our cohorts of companies and partners such as Booz Allen Hamilton, BAE Systems, Raytheon, some universities and research centers. So that's where we sit at the confluence of all these companies. So we have 74 members that we've been able to amass in the first couple of years that we've been in business. And we have grown, obviously. And part of our organization is 5 cohorts of government. Those will be federal, state, municipal, corporations, enterprise, basically information such as startups and small enterprises, research institution, university, colleges, and funders. So that's our, architecture. So we are focused on environmental, remediation, as it were, and defense, just because the Navy is a big piece of our ecosystem being in Kitsap, Navy bases, shipyard and all that. So we are focused on environmental remediation and defense primarily for marine autonomy. So we do also look at other things like fisheries and research and development with universities, but that's our entire architecture. So we are very thankful. If you are interested in working with us, by all means, reach out to our website or emails. And we want to take this opportunity to even thank someone, our partner, Circle, that we worked with on this project, the town of Villa, which we worked with to conduct the study, and of course the Suquamish Star. So thank you very much. Well, let's enjoy.
Our fifth award is the Innovation and Economic Development Award. This award recognizes that not all economic development projects are alike. In fact, frequently projects and programs that are developed do not deal these economic developers typically consider a success. We will recognize innovative programs, projects, and partnerships that are pioneering, novel, and relevant. We recognize that the communities and individuals are doing state-of-the-art work to further the field of economic development. It may be the attraction of a class event that makes significant economic impact on a community, and all kinds of groups who may have worked together to form a program that significantly improves the community's ability to attract investment. This year's award winner expressed the notion of how communities ensure that they have every opportunity to create and sustain jobs and employment, and opportunities for citizens and their families to fully engage and participate in a local economy. 2022, the City of Richland Council adopted the first targeted urban area tax exemption program in the state of Washington. Programs developed by Mandy Wallner with the help of Carl Dye and tried utilizing new legislation adopted by the state in April 2021. It's two major significant projects that occurred in July of 2023, and one in January of 2024, taking advantage of that framework the council adopted as created by Mandy. Together, these projects will bring 220 family living wage jobs to the community, engage with trades, and have an overall impact on the community for years to come. The investment in combined project is $374 million. The key to the decision for council and staff is the but for these are developments that would not have come to the city not for having this program in place. So while there may be a cost to the city for 10 years, there's also an exponential benefit when considering indirect, and induced jobs. The overall jobs benefits 918, and the tax benefit of 6.4 million locally, 6.2 million at the state level, and 6.7%. 6.7 million. It's my honor to present the 2024 Innovation Economic Development to University of Richland for manufacturing equipment tool targeted urban area tax exemption, and it's joined by Carl Dye, President and CEO of Trident nominate her is going to tell us a little bit about the project. Congratulations, already welcome.
All the papers. Hello, my name is Sandy Ballmer. City Manager. First of all, I want to thank my team at the city for supporting the process and setting up this program, but especially our city leadership and our council for believing in the project and seeing the butt for and being able to really get behind it as a first in the state program. It was a big leap for us. That's not something we considered before, and so being able to get that buy-in at all levels is really fantastic, and our communities responded. I also want to thank WEDA, Suzanne, and the committee for the recognition for such a great program that we're super proud of. I want to thank Adam File from Benton County and their commissioners, because they too have accepted and funded this opportunity in addition to adopting our targeted urban area for an overlay. So now companies can not only benefit from the city portion of tax, but also the county portion of tax. So that's pretty exciting, and we'll get into that in a minute. But also, last but not least, let's say a big thank you to Carl and the team at TriDeck. Without having our ADO support at all levels in these recruitments, but also in these programs, I don't think the work that we do would be supported as much as it is, and I don't think people would know about it as much as they do. And so I definitely consider him a partner and thank him for the nomination. With that, as all good partnerships go, I also encourage him to speak on the program. So we're going to go ahead and get into what the TUA is and how it works, and hopefully entertain some questions here before.
Thanks, Mandy.
We'll go through this pretty fast, but I think it's a good story, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to talk about the partnership. I think that's been the theme in all of the presentations and the awards today. This is a great example of partnerships. We all know how economic development works.
This is a great one because I think we first learned about this program. If you want to look it up, it's RCW 84.25. As Michael said, it was approved in 2021. I think it was piloted in West Side County, expanded to the state. But when we had an opportunity to work together to work competitively, we had a partner that came in, and a company that shared the incentive package that they were getting from, in this case, Oregon, to start out with. Then we sat down and said, hey, maybe we need to take advantage, or the city needs to take a look at this program, because we may need to bring this tool, or really the city create this tool to be able to land this customer. So, and the Tri-Cities were really lucky, and some may say an site isn't a lucky place to be, but we do, and we think it's a strength. From that, the Department of Energy granted land in 2015 to TriDeck for what's known in the DOE circles nationwide as a community resourceization. So we can accept real or personal property from the federal government. It's not as easy as that sounds. It literally took an act of Congress to do that. But in 2015, we received about 1,600 acres of land. That was split out between the city of Richland and Fort Benton. The land was transferred there. This is the place that we have always envisioned to be like mega sites. You know, we get the battery companies. We all see the RFIs and RFPs come out. They get a ton of power, a ton of water, a ton of everything. We finally had a chance to really, get one of these companies, and it was really the spark that the city of Richland then created the targeted urban area program, which was the first in the state to use that. I'm just talking. I don't. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the first company is actually in process. The city will consider this application for manufacturing property tax exemption on Tuesday, on the 5th. The company's named Atlas Agro. We've all heard about the hydrogen hub. Chris Green's going to be here tomorrow. He's the chair of the hydrogen hub, right? So Atlas Agro is the only company that's been, to our knowledge, publicly announced that they're actually companies. The governor's been there. It's a Swiss company.
they're gonna make green hydrogen-based fertilizer. So they will take a lot of water, which the city of Richland has these water rights. Take a lot of power that they're gonna buy separately themselves beyond BPA, beyond else for power purchase agreements. And then we're all working cooperatively together, trying to get a transmission line in the time frame that they need. And we've talked collectively about transmission and substations and BPA, and kind of all have these pains as we go through these issues. But they were comparing City of Richland to a site in Oregon. And like I said, they were a good partner with us. And we found, it doesn't matter who it is, working with Stephen, Port Pasco, or other partners, Richland, Port Benton. When we get a company that comes in and they can show us what they're getting, then we have a chance to deal with it, you know, versus kind of the, we can't really tell you the name, we can't really tell you the industry, like that. Yes, you know, we know how it works. It's kind of a game sometimes. When we have the good partners, they show us. So we sat down and said, hey, if the city would consider this, we can be pretty close. Like the total tax incentive package, as the city implemented this manufacturing property tax exemption, which is essentially the city and the county can elect to, at the local level, exempt 10 years of their portion of the property taxes. So the state's held harmless, school districts are held harmless. It's just the city and the state in this case. And it's a local decision. It's not a top down from the state. It's a local decision that locally you can make that up for laws that we talked about. If it wasn't for this exemption, we wouldn't have these developments. And so Alice Agro has made an initial site selection, which they did last year. But then as we were working on it, then we had an existing manufacturer, ATI Metals, that actually melts titanium. They don't cut it up, but they cut up like Russian submarine hulls that are made out of titanium, and they bring it to Richland, they shred it, they melt it down, and then they make custom mixes to take out to another place. And now with this expansion, that they were the very first target urban area manufacturing property tax exemption, they'll start making high quality titanium to be used in compressor blades and turbine engines and things like that. So huge aerospace connection with the state of Washington, the aerospace industry. They were up against another site that they had in North Carolina. And so again, they sat down with us, they showed us the package, and it was about $5 million. We kind of started doing the math, and also in all these examples, the companies partnered with us. The city hadn't done it yet, and we were literally saying, we feel really positive about this. We just hang in there a little bit longer for us. And they all did. And it was a great year last year. So ATI was the first one. The next one approved in January this year was Framatome, which has been in Richland making world-class nuclear fuel for the nuclear power industry for over 50 years. They're expanding into the new generation of fuels, TRISO fuels, walk away safe, really addresses any concerns of previous nuclear power applications. As advanced reactors, this fuel will be that fuel for that one. The city again came in, put that tax exemption together, and we were competitive with another site that they had in Virginia. And so I think from a Washington standpoint, I'll just say from our collective experience, a lot of times we see packages where we can't throw a bunch of money in, like Texas can, or like other states can. This, if you have a manufacturer, they meet the criteria that Mandy's going to talk about, this gets us competitive. And so I know we talked to Ronnie and Chris, and they said like, hey, we didn't know you should talk about this and talk about how it does it. Now, you know, we don't want anybody else to do it because we want to be able to keep all the manufacturers in the Tri-City. But I will say that this gets you really competitive. And I think from a policy standpoint, from your decision makers, from your city government, it gives a chance that it's not top down. It gives you a chance to make the local, you know, like, do you want the development or not? And it's a really good program. So I just want to really thank Mandy, and we have city manager John Emerson here, city's great partners, along with our other partners in the Tri-Cities. This is a well-deserved award. So thanks, Mandy.
I think the biggest part about this is to use one of Carl's phrases is the but for. So it's the tax exemption applies to the improvements on a project. So if a project comes in a lot of cases for us, it's on public lands. So they're purchasing city-owned or port-owned property. They start paying property tax on that property, which previously was not generating income. In addition, they also get to start working on their development. So in the first 3 years, they still pay the property tax. And then once those improvements are made, then the 10-year period starts. And so then it's abatement on the taxes on the improvements only. And so it's been something kind of an interesting process to get the county to figure out how to calculate all of that and work through those kinds of things. And punchline is software. But what has really changed it for us is being able to utilize those things and also have 8425 as the RCW chapter that we can reference that requires the minimums. And so it's 25 living wage jobs. It's at least $800,000 worth of investment. It has to be within manufacturing base codes. It's 10,000 square feet of property development. And so I think those things also help us be able to really generate the types of jobs and income that our community needs. And then it also makes it a worthwhile endeavor for council and community to see that that abatement is money that we wouldn't have had anyways because they were not there and they likely would have chosen somewhere else had this program not existed. And so I think that's really the main takeaway. And the nice thing is, while all legislation is not always the easiest to use, once we figured it all out, it's actually not that difficult and the application can be fairly simple. And it makes it a really, really fantastic way for us to partner with these recruitments. And then in some cases, even the retention projects, because we didn't really know that these companies were quietly looking at our communities to expand into. And so we were able to really bring them home, make them consider home as the place that they want to expand. And then we ensure another 50 years of their project in our community. So I think those are probably the biggest takeaways. This is our targeted urban area. One thing I will say that's nice about this, as opposed to other legislation like a TIF, is that it's not assessed value based, so it can be as large as you want. And so we were fortunate that the county also adopted the same map. And so anything that's located in that area in a manufacturing base code can apply for this program through the city. Council always has the opportunity to approve or deny the application, although typically if it meets the minimums, there's no reason. So those have been kind of the most exciting things that where we have pros and cons on the project. I've only been able to identify pros, and I think most of us would, other than perhaps some slanted media coverage that everything gets from time to time. The new construction valuation in 11 years helps to offset that abatement that you had for the first 10 years. There's no loss in revenue. It's only loss in future revenue that you haven't realized. Obviously, the job creation outweighs most everything. Direct benefit to businesses, communities, and it's a clear differentiator. So I would just like to thank everybody for the recognition of the program and offer that we're always available to talk through it if you have questions and you want to try to bring something like this to your community. Although not compete with us. Let's read for one is a good girl. So thank you very much. Just like I did last time, I get to introduce the next one. So only there was a commercial break. I'm not going to introduce myself again, but what I would like to say, this year the WEDA Awards Committee decided to honor a second project with the Innovation and Economic Development Award. The fun part about being on the committee is being able to see the diverse applications that we get and how they satisfy the requirements of the awards, but yet are so totally different that you can award multiple projects and everybody wins. Michael's already talked about the category, so I'm going to go ahead and just share a bit about the project. What I would like to say first is that, well, I guess it is my honor to present the 2024 Innovation and Economic Development Award to Tacoma Blue Edge Network. The project is represented by Patricia Beard with the city of Tacoma and Jim, I'm really sorry, Brismatis, that's really probably wrong, but he can correct it when it comes up, with 5G Open Innovation Labs. The Tacoma Blue Edge Network is working on a new approach to business retention, expansion, and attraction focused on high-paying STEM-based jobs and climate-responsive economic development. The initiative, spearheaded by the city of Tacoma, while in early stages with significant work and outcomes focused on Tacoma's deep water port and extensive history in maritime trade. Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue have robust technology and telecommunication sectors that also help to support this project. The idea was born in February of 2021, convening shareholders from a coalition to produce a feasibility study and network design. The outcome was neutrally controlled nonprofit host of the EDGE culture, which was established and accepted into the Washington Innovation Cluster Accelerator Program, which we talked about to support this and other similar 5G projects throughout the state. This is such a great collaborative effort and partnership, and so we are honored to present this award to the award recipients.
Good afternoon, my name is Patricia Beard. No, unfortunately, I can't make it today, so she asked me to stand up here. The nice thing, I played a very small part in this project. I get to play a small part in this award ceremony as well. But Pat was the lead from the city of Tacoma on this project, and she did most of the work. And I get to take the award home, so I think that's pretty good. So we all know that projects just don't happen on their own. They don't operate. They don't happen in a vacuum. There's a lot of partners that go into making these a success. So my job is to read the partners in this and let Jim talk more about the project, which is very cool. So the major partners in this are 5G Open Innovation Lab, Washington Maritime Blue, City of Tacoma, Impact Washington, Tacoma Public Utilities, Washington Department of Commerce, Business Finland, Husky Terminal, Motive Power Marine, Safe Boats International, Trident Seafoods, Silverback Marine, and Tote Bank. And the city also appreciates the strong system support throughout this project of the EDP as well. So, thank you, and I'll let Jim take it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim. This is, I'll quiz you on my last name later if you like. It's an honor to be here alongside Michael and Patricia and Washington Maritime Blue. So the Tacoma Blue Edge Network is a private enterprise 5G network that we've built alongside our partners, made possible by the Department of Commerce and their Evergreen Manufacturing brand. We've deployed the network. It is now servicing 5 enterprise customers. And our mission is to eventually grow that network. Let's go to the next slide. In the world of telecommunications, it is changing rapidly. Beyond these devices is what we see every day. 5G is the democratization of that connectivity technology. So more and more enterprises who have been limited by the wireless technology of Wi-Fi are now looking at cellular. I can geek out with you all day about this, but essentially cellular is going to unlock a number of new innovative technologies that will allow any enterprise of any size do more with the technology capabilities. Earlier today, we sat in and listened to a great panel conversation with AI. Generative AI is awesome. Data is everywhere around us, and these are networks that help to connect that. So before we get into it, we recorded a small video just to kind of show you the site a little bit and to hear from some of the partners in that video role.
That's all we need.
We're done. Thank you.
We can play the audio and I think. I'm sorry, well, we'll post it on Spotify.
Sure, absolutely. It's also on YouTube before I watch later. Kind of what the video was going to say is that we've now developed the next slide. We are covering about 3 miles of radius. There's a small sliver of the tide flats or port area that the network is now currently deployed in. We can reach it out. If you can go to the next slide, about 2 miles out into Commencement Bay, which is critical for some of our customers. Trident Seafoods, as an example, wants to do ship-to-shore connectivity. Today, when their trawlers are coming in from fishing expeditions, they have to literally pull up next to the port to offload data. Now, as they're about 2 miles out from the port, they can start offloading that data and again, start to be a little bit more efficient. As you can see, we have 2 sites that we have covered. We've been doing speed tests around each and every one of those areas and have been getting north of 100 megabytes per second in a world where we probably have gigabyte fiber to the home. That might seem small, but when you have zero connectivity, that is bigger than DSL. Yeah, it's a pretty big reach. Because we're the 5G Innovation Lab, we're backed by 17 big client partners of ours in the technology space. We've had the chance to work with 129 teams, sorry, from around the world and raise north of $2.2 billion of venture capital. Not only do we help build this network, but we're bringing innovation into this space as well, as a way to create a competitive differentiation for all of our participating clients. And that is in unison alongside our friends over at Washington Maritime Blue, who also operate the Blue Accelerator. Go to the next slide. Perfect. So a network is a network is a network, just like cloud is a cloud is a cloud. And I'm a former Microsoft executive, and I love Windows Phone, but the one problem with Windows Phone is it didn't have apps. So we had to seed the network some of its own use cases. These are just 5 examples of use cases that we're starting to. I mentioned ship to shore was one of those. We are with Motive Green deploying a smart camera on the 5G network so that they can monitor a portion of their site. We're also in conversations with some of our startups to provide worker connectivity today. Most of these connectivities are done by big phones. We have startups that have push-to-talk. If you're in the field, push-to-talk technology is back with the Vegans, and so we're bringing some of those technologies to bear here. And then lastly, connected vehicles and IoT sensors. On the connected vehicle side, this is an acute problem for Tote. I think it's also the case for Husky Terminals and some of the other big operators. The poor people that are in these trucks running around yards as containers are unloading have to huddle underneath poles to get access to a Wi-Fi hotspot. No more, at least with this network. So connected vehicles for us essentially is making each of these vehicles its own hotspot off the network itself, which means they can be more efficiently have access to their data. They're not regulated to every single pole to get access to that data. And then IoT sensors, this is something that Joshua Berger from Washington Maritime Blue and I are very excited about. They have a number of initiatives around air pollution, noise quality, and all the other things. We've deployed on top of this private 5G network something called the Borderland network. And that network is a low-power network. It's ideal for IoT sensors. It has a range of about 75 miles around the entire site. So we're starting to actively look at scenarios and use cases where we can deploy a range of these sensors and really provide data to the operations of the port itself. So these are just the first 5. As I like to say, cloud computing is a very compelling platform where connectivity is going is also a very compelling platform because of our connection with Washington Maritime Blue. What we do here at the lab, we are now essentially future-proofing a portion of the port at this level of technology to allow them to expand into new and adjacent technologies that are coming. Without that connectivity, without the opportunity to connect it to edge computing and all these really cool use cases that exist, they're not going to be as efficient as they have ambitions to be. So in working with the community, with labor, with all aspects of the tide flats, we anticipate of sandboxing new innovative solutions, helping the port, the combination of Tacoma and Seattle, the 5th largest port operating here in the United States, as a standout ecosystem. So the technology is fun and fantastic. Is what we can do with it and how we can bring those technologies here as a differentiation for the region is what we're most excited. And this is the last slide. Oh, as I mentioned, we have a number of different partners. There's just a small sampling of the logos here, but we're very fortunate at the lab to have partnerships with Microsoft and Comcast to provide us fiber access to their backbone network and a range of other important partners that made this entirely possible. One of the most proud things that I'm excited about from this project is a network of this size is easily $500,000 to $1 million worth of investment. Because of our partnerships, we're able to deliver this for less than $200,000. That's a pretty big deal when you think about the costs involved in this type of project. So for that, we're going to make great use of this project and really make a difference with technology. So thank you, Michael, and thank you to WEDA for the recognition. Any questions?
Fortunately, we don't have time for questions right now, but catch them afterwards for sure. It is my pleasure to introduce the next award, which is the Economic Development Award for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Before I do that though, I want to take a minute because we've seen some really big, giant projects, like the kind of things that if you lived in Columbia County or Jefferson, you'd be like, wow, that would take our entire workforce to man that one facility, right? And I just want to, for those who are newer to WEDA, have made it here the first time, a few years ago, Prosser lost their Shopco, the hometown store, whatever it's called, the little tiny Shopcos. And one of the WEDA projects of the year was that community came together and found a way to get a grocery store to go in there. Now, if Tacoma were to come to us and say, hey, we put a grocery store next to Trader Joe's and in between Safeways, we'd be like, yeah, we don't think that that's really worthy of the economic development project, you know, recognizing innovation or those kinds of things. But I point that out because I want to make it clear that economic development is done at the local level. And so in Prosser, being able to keep a grocery, to get a grocery store to come in when one had left, huge impact on that community, you know, the implications of becoming a food desert, those kind of things. We heard earlier this morning, Cheryl McGrath, shout out, raise your hand, there she is, talk about all the small businesses that have been assisted, all the capital that's come in, all of those one at a time. If you go to their website, and they have some flyers out there too, there's some really amazing success stories that the SBDC has highlighted. And I say that because we're going to go from these big projects to the award winner here is the Lacey Food Truck Depot, which is very small project, but also very impactful. And what is really unique and exciting about this project is that it was intentionally deliberate. And so as Carl was describing, all the Mandy were describing all of the processes and the things that they went through to try to get these things to happen for these big giant projects. We're working with a business owner right now, a Hispanic woman who has a daycare and can seat 30 kids, and she's expanding it, but she needs to get her occupancy permit. We reached out to the city. The city's like, yeah, we haven't seen a set of engineer drawings or anything like that. And we talked to her. She's like, whatever, do any of that kind of stuff, right? And so in the meantime, there's childcare shortage going on, and et cetera. And so there's obstacles and things that business owners just don't know about. And so Olympia was very intentional, or sorry, Lacey was very intentional about what are those barriers and what can we do as a community to remove those. So this process is as easy as possible for those who aren't familiar with the bureaucracy, who don't have a PhD in government speak of how do we, et cetera, et cetera. And so most of us that are in economic development had to learn all that stuff on the fly. But the business owners, they're just trying to do their thing. And so it is my honor to present the 2024 Economic Development Award for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to the Lacey Food Truck Depot. The project's represented by Rick Walt and Vanessa Goldie with the city of Lacey.
Thank you very much. I know one of the reasons why I'm getting all of you because this is part of our community economic development team, and just there's a nice setup to talk about how we try to look at building our community. It takes a lot of different actions and departments and efforts and partners. You know, I work closely with Thurston Economic Development Council, and Michael Cade and I have a lot of conversations about. We got economic development initiatives, we got land use initiatives, we got transportation initiatives, parks and programs. But really what we're all doing is trying to build communities, connections, and opportunities. And so this is a project that, you know, we're fortunate in the city of Lacey, you heard from Mayor Ryder earlier today. We have a lot of council and their support of our efforts. And this is a project that was really kind of started being born out of a land use effort, and a compound update. Just over behind us, or behind me, and down the road is the original location of the Lacey Transit Depot. And so Lacey is a very small community. It's a young community. It was incorporated in the late '60s, but we do still have a long, rich history. And that train depot was an area where people would come down and enjoy the resorts around our lakes and recreate. It was a recreational-based community. We still have a lot of that going as our efforts today. I bring that up because when we started looking at a new museum project, we also were able to get the original plans of that people that was no longer there and rebuild a replica to create a trailhead of our trail. We're also looking to create that to be a future site for our museum project. And as we were looking at this area and being the oldest part of Lacey, we wanted to really try to draw connectivity to its neighborhoods and identity to this area to create specific space. And so even though the museum is several years out as we try to raise money for that project, we decided to figure out how do we build some connectivity, some civic space and activity, but also use some of our economic development plan initiatives to try to create opportunities for startups, entrepreneurs, and efforts for our underrepresented white populations. And so we really looked at this as a temporary site that would build over time into a permanent site. So we started the idea of let's develop this food truck plaza. And since we have the site and property, and we thought we can get it started, and we had it back in 2020, and we got council support and started working on building our first year of implementation in 2021. And so again, this is new to us, so we're not necessarily landowners or leasing agents, so we kind of had to learn as we go. And we also had to have a lot of partners internally coming up to the issues with internal city policy, across departmental policies, or even external agency requirements. We had to figure out what we can do to provide this park property, but we were able to have the community economic development department be able to have opportunity to do this initiative. So we didn't have to follow all the parks rules. So we were able to create a situation where we did the first 4 trucks in on the site that first year, and get them started with no lease, no rent, and just kind of get something established. And that was our learning year. And then over time, in the following year, we said, okay, here are the amenities we need to make it more successful. We need to get more regular food trucks. And we also started targeting a below market rent for those spaces so we can create reason for those individuals to be there and buy in that space. And also with low receipt, we started getting a lot of positive feedback. Because again, when you have opportunity, most people connect over food. And it's a good example. I just really at lunch, had a conversation at our table about food and what it happens people and families together. And so it brings all parts of our community together as well. That's one of the things that we also want to strive for with this effort. As we moved on in the third year, we also brought in a pop-up market activity to see if we can bring more activity to that space and opportunity, drive more awareness of the site. And I think that first year was very successful. It was a Friday night and a Sunday, one Friday night and one Sunday a month, a big market. And again, that brought in a lot of different activity, a lot of different people, and we all of a sudden the food truck started expanding out to get more interested people to locate there. And with that success of that pop-up market, we are now going out for selecting another vendor to operate the market this kind of year, maybe with the next band now. So it's been widely successful. Now, looking at food trucks and the food business, we all, I think, are aware that that is one of the most popular ways of starting a business, as well as opportunities for especially the first generation, second generation, BIPOC community to get established and get a started business. And so this last year, I think we had 6 trucks. We had representing the Filipino, Jamaican, Hispanic, Black, and women-owned businesses. 4 of those 6 was their first business. And then also we had a success. One of our original food truck operators, Lavabos, was able to this last year successfully locate in a brick and mortar, which was her dream. This was an individual. She during the pandemic quit her full-time job and just want to do something different and started this food truck business. And again, over 3 years, she's able to land in the brick and mortar, and it's still a very popular place. So again, this can't happen without a lot of collaboration and partnerships. We have a great support network in this community. We have the First and Economic Development Council and the Center for Business Innovation. We have the ability to provide business support, training, helping, especially a first-time business owner. And also, I want to highlight the team here because without their efforts, Leslie, I want to recognize specifically. He came on right on the city of Lacey. So he was really good on trying to, accommodate what the food truck needs are, what our site requirements are, and even some of the health department needs. So he was instrumental in getting this started and built and learning through the multiple years. So thank you, Wesley, for all your work, and also the rest of the city racing team. So thank you again for this. It's a great honor. And,
Our final award today is the Economic Development Award for Economic Wisconsin. This award recognizes economic development organizations or entities that have made innovative efforts to address the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. WEDA recognizes the innovative programs, projects, and partnerships that are pioneering, groundbreaking, or novel. WEDA recognizes that communities and individuals have faced severe impacts from COVID-19, which linger even today. It may be a project, a program, or an atypical alliance of groups who may have never worked together before that have now significantly addressed economic response or provided economic response and supportive economic recovery. This award goes to a team that utilized small business innovation funds provided by the state of Washington in innovative ways across multiple counties. Their reach to hundreds of small businesses is absolutely extraordinary. It's my honor to present the 2024 Economic Development Award for Economic Response and Recovery to the Small Business Innovation Fund project in Clallam, Grays Harbor, and Jefferson counties. Pauline McAleer with the Clallam County Economic Development Council will be speaking, and she's joined by Cindy Brooks with Team Jefferson, Mitch Coons with the Clallam EDC, and John Martin with Greater Grays Harbor Incorporated, and Lori Fazio from Clallam County. And also Mandy Waldner will once again come up. and Jim Martin from Grays Harbor. Greater Grays Harbor, and here's the award.
So Colleen McAleer with Clallam County EDC, we're really honored to have this award, receive this award. And this was a collective effort. Our 3 counties are economically distressed, and on our west end of our counties, we have extreme poverty. So we were really thinking about diversity, equity, and inclusion and trying to help the most underserved. And what we know about the most underserved businesses in our counties is they're not necessarily very sophisticated. So how could we help them? Well, that was from providing them free marketing services, providing them with free legal services, and providing them with free bookkeeping services. And what we realized as we started to develop our plan is that there weren't enough. When I went to the bookkeepers, hey, I'm gonna apply for this grant with our 2 county partners. And we would like you to reply to an RFP when we get to that point. And they said, oh, there's no way we can help you. We are so overtasked. We could not take on another client. So the bookkeeping piece, we realized, oh no, we're gonna have to train new bookkeepers. So we worked with our 2 colleges between our 3 counties, Peninsula College and Grays Harbor College. And then we also worked with a community-based organization that had really deep relationships with the most underserved businesses on our west end. So what we were able to do is we ended up locating and finding 273 businesses. But then on the bookkeeping side, when we talked to our colleges and said, we want to train how many bookkeepers? And they said, well, let's try to do 20, 10 at each college. And they said, but we're really worried you won't get 20 applicants. So we put out the announcement, and Cindy's team did a great job. There's this thing called TikTok or something, and Instaface or something. They really got out there, and we had so many responses. Those 20 bookkeepers that we were hoping to train and hire, we had 384 applications.
Wow.
So we were offering incentives, we were offering the free training, and also what we were doing is when after they got trained, they were going to get paid $50 an hour. So working with mentors. And so this was a beautiful proposal, except for the administration. It was freaking miserable. And so that is why, I mean, think about it. We had 44 providers between attorneys, and they're really fun to use contracts with, attorneys and marketing firms and brand new bookkeepers, and lining them up contracts with them with 200, and I think it was almost 300 underserved businesses that didn't really have the sophistication to understand contracts as well. So, and sometimes they would decide, well, I wasn't a real fan of that particular marketing firm. I want a new one. So then poor Lori would have to do new DocuSign documents and try to figure out a better fit. So, but anyway, we got it all done, spent $1.3 million, distributed all this funding to the most underserved businesses of our counties. And we know it was a huge success, and it was just a pleasure to work with the team at Greater Grace Harbor Inc. and with EDC Team Jefferson. So Cindy, did you want to add anything? Okay.
So I've been a fan of Colleen since early days of COVID. I was working as a business advisor in another part of the state, and I was paying attention to who came out of the gate quick with good, accurate information. And the assumption I made about Colleen is that she doesn't sleep. She cares a lot about her community. So I was really looking for an opportunity to work with her. So what I learned out of this project is the power of having regional awareness and understanding who the strong players are and really prioritizing that collaboration. And I wanted to say a word about the community colleges. Like, I like being wrong when my assumptions are challenged sometimes. And I assumed that the colleges were like lumbering bureaucratic organizations. And there's no way they could design a bookkeeping program that wasn't what they were already doing to fit our timeline and our grant criteria. But I was wrong. And it was so great. Like, they bent to fit what we had on our plate. And we were successful in training these bookkeepers. And our community is really thankful for that, because in a small rural community, we lose stuff over time. We've lost a lot of our service providers, and it's a huge deficit to the businesses that are, trying to get stuff done, especially if you have poor internet connection. You can't outsource your bookkeeping if you can't be online. So I think that when we look around, sometimes we see leakage everywhere. We see, workforce changing in ways that we can't really address quickly, but sometimes when this federal grant money comes down and we can work together, we can do together what we can't do alone. I'm just really thankful for that opportunity.
Thank you.
What a great winner and group of winners to come up here as our last award today, showing the partnership right here on the stage. So fantastic. Personally, as a proud graduate of Lincoln Elementary School in Brandeis, Washington, 1971, I love seeing, thank you, I love seeing Clallam County up here with our partner counties on the peninsula. They did close down Lincoln Elementary School shortly after I left town, but I don't think there was a connection. I think they're trying to turn it into a cultural center, which makes a lot of sense. So, hey, please join me again in thanking or applauding all the winners. And just to note, your association, the Washington Economic Development Association, WEDA, and the Small Business Innovation Fund. So that great example you just heard from Colleen and her colleagues was also played out in other ways across the whole state of Washington, because the state appropriated $35 million for the Small Business Innovation Fund statewide. WEDA was the lead organization in Olympia lobbying for that program for $35 million. And that passed in 2022 when we were still all really suffering from the pandemic and trying to reinvent our organizations and our communities and all the rest of it. So if you ever, if one of your board members or your neighbor or somebody at your grocery store says, what good is WEDA? You can tell them there were small businesses across the state of Washington that would not have survived had it not been for your trade association, the Washington Economic Development Association. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as we go forward. The awards committee made a lot of difficult choices in selecting these awards, and we'd also like to give special recognition to some of the others who were nominated but didn't get awards here today because they all had amazing programs. I'm going to read 3 here, and I'm not sure if anybody's here from these organizations. I'm going to read them out. If you are here, please come forward because we have a certificate for you. Is Dr. Tracy Harrell here by any chance? She was here. Is there anybody here who knows Dr. Tracy Harrell? Somebody who, yeah. Oh, someone will grab her. Okay, yeah. Whenever she's ready, we'll get it to her. We'll get it to her. How about anybody from the Children's Nursing Services COVID-19 vaccination program? Is anybody here from that? Oh, thank you. Thank you. And then the last one, the Southwest Washington Food Hub. Anybody here from that program or know about that? Michael Cage. All right, so we'll give this to you, Michael, and you can, oh, who else? Oh, yay. Yes, my front row cinematographer. Dr. Harrell, please come on up. Come on up. You get to be in this picture, Suzanne. Yeah, you're in this one. I love John's story about the Prosper grocery store. It really showed that economic development happens in different ways in different communities, that it has different impacts. I just noted as these awards were going on here today that we didn't cover every single jurisdiction of the state, but we did cover the Tri-Cities, King County, Pierce County, Fallon County, Jefferson County, Grace Harbor County, Kitsap County, Thurston County, and one statewide program. And also, I do have to mention that we've now created a new award. It's called the Mandy Waller Award. It's called the Mandy Award. She came and she gave without taking. 2 awards here for Mandy. I mean, that may be unprecedented in the long history of WEDA. But I was also thinking about, and I'm going to get to how we get to the reception, but I was also thinking about something else. I was thinking about, I've been to a lot of award ceremonies over the years and never gotten an award. I've gotten some awards, but I've never gotten, mostly I don't get awards. And I was reminded of when I was a kid, I was listening to a comedian. His name was Dimitri Martin. Some of you may know who Dimitri Martin is. I wasn't that little of a kid. I was still a big kid. And he never got awards. And he was really bummed out about that. But then one day he discovered there's things called trophy shops. And now he's good at everything.
Nice.
So go get yourself an award. All right, we got a movable feast, right, Suzanne? We're gonna turn now to how we are gonna make our way to the governor's house for a dinner that he has personally prepared for us. And what we'd like to do, and there's this great clock on the back wall there, so we no later than 5:10. It's now 4:33 or so. But I'd suggest even leaving before then. You want to get out of here no later than 5:10 and arrive and park no later than 5:20 p.m. because there's a little bit of a walk to get to the governor's house. You need to bring a photo ID for the security check. because everybody who's been informed that they're going to get into the governor's mansion, because there's not enough room for everybody who registered for WEDA. Maybe everybody in this room who's registered for WEDA, but or for the conference, but make sure you bring your photo ID because your name's going to be on the list. If your name's not on the list, God bless you. God bless everyone. Due to some construction, there's no parking at the governor's mansion because they've got construction going on. There is a Capitol campus map with parking noted in your swap card. Swap card's awesome, by the way. And we have some copies of that map out in the WEDA information table out in the lobby. You're encouraged to carpool. No, we are not going to arrange your carpools for you. You are super grown-ups and you can arrange your own carpool, but come on over. Again, it'll be about a 10-minute walk where you're going to end up parking. We're expecting, as mentioned earlier, about 20 to 25 legislators in attendance. This is amazing. And they kind of, sometimes they come in and then they leave and then some more come in. So you just got to be on the lookout for yours or others and ask to be introduced if you don't know your own, hopefully you do, but if you don't, you can get introduced by our lobbyist or by Suzanne or me or anybody else that's on the board that kind of knows these things. We are going to have, and that depends on floor activity. We also may have some other VIPs join us. Last year, the governor just came downstairs and joined our reception. So that could happen again, and that's always really cool when that happens. So I'm just making sure I'm hitting all of these. If you're a conference registrant, you are invited and your name was submitted. If you are not able to attend the reception, let Holly know at the WEDA information table. So here's the key point. Some of you who are here as our guests, you didn't register for the conference and send the money and all that kind of stuff. We never know who's going to show up and who's not. So your names are not at the governor's bench because we were already at capacity. So unless Suzanne has told you you're in, you're not in. And so honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the best policy. Although I will note that KEDA, Kids Have Economic Development Alliance's annual meeting is coming up, and there's still registration available, right, Joe?
This week.
And early bird discount end this week. So if you can't make it to the governor's mansion, go to the Kids Have Economic Development Alliance annual meeting. It's fantastic. I'll be there. You bet. After the legislative reception, we hope you'll join us for an after-hours informal gathering at Ricardo's Kitchen and Bar, and that's in Swap Card. You can look that up too, and also just Google it and it'll come up here in Lacey. And that'll start for emerging professionals around 7:30. But what the heck? We're all emerging in one way or the other, so just show up if you want to show up. Or when you get tired of talking to the governor, just come on down. But it'll really get rolling around 8 o'clock. So that's always fun when we do that kind of stuff. So Governor's Mansion, Ricardo's Kitchen and Bar, and then off wherever you're going to spend the night. And then we'll see you all tomorrow morning. And there will be some talking, right? Speechifying, right? Suzanne at the Governor's Mansion. Yeah, and so I think we'll hear from Betty again, our board chair, Betty Devastani. Yes. We'll hear from Gina Stark, head of government affairs. And do you have a question? Okay, what's your question?
If you were to take a lift there, would they?
That's a great question. If you take a Lyft or an Uber, will they drop you pretty close? Yeah. Yeah. And they're very, the state patrol is very friendly. Just don't rush them. Yeah. Why not? Yes.
No flagpoles.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, picture ID. Thanks, Gina. Yeah, once again, picture ID. Suzanne will not make you a picture ID on fly. She does not have that capability. So I think, should I let them go? Okay.
Yeah.
See you there. Thanks for everybody. See you tomorrow.